So the project, the program development leadership cohort, our work was working through a process, and the first step of the process is a needs assessment. And for anyone that has had any interaction with dairy farmers in the recent few years, this is not news. Farms are in an economic crisis, dairy farms in particular. And these are just headlines that I picked off to illustrate the stress, the economic stress dairy farmers are feeling. So this is kind of what's behind it. Milk price. In 2014, we had our highest milk price ever. Farmers sell their milk in 100 weight and 100 pounds. At 100 pounds, we call it 100 weight. And they earned over $24 per 100 weight in 2014. The next year, the price dropped 29%, basically between December and January. There was a huge drop. And the year averaged $17.14. In 2016, it dropped even lower, $2 lower at $15 per 100 weight. This is all from the Northeast Milk Market Administrator's report. These are average prices for the Northeast corridor. At price on an individual farm could be slightly different. In 2017, we went back up a little to $17 on average. Last year, we went down again, down to $16 on average. And this year, we're trending up. They're predicting like $1 to $1.25 higher as an average price this year. The problem is that even the most efficient farms that are out there have a cost of production around $18.50 per 100 weight. So, and then some folks are as high as 20 or over 20. So it's just, how much can I stand to lose? And farms have been watching their equity. Some farms have been watching their equity over this 4 to 5 year period. So it's been very tough. And of course, it's forced some farms into economic crisis, and they know they're losing their life savings in their property because their debt is growing and growing. So the whole, let me just, before I jump into that, in our region, in our 6 counties, which I have outlined here through Tompkins, in 2014, these were the number of farms shipping milk. In 2018, you can see it's been a very slow decline. It's not dramatic. It's a couple farms a year in each county. But overall, on average, it's about 25% of the dairy farm stats. Now, that's not the whole story. You'd have to look at cow numbers, land and production to see the overall impact on the business. But this project is looking at the farmers and the people themselves, the individual people involved in this, not at the larger industry. So who are those people? They may be multi-generational farms. They may be more like a nuclear family, husband and wife. But you can't really say this type of farm is in distress. It's hit all sizes within the industry. So the goals and objectives of my project were to address this at several different levels. So, hard for me to read the slide. Number one is the need for folks to be able to assess their financial standing and know where they're at, and if they can, how much longer they can take earning a paycheck that doesn't cover their cost of productions. And if they do need to exit the business, what's that going to look like for them? One big question is, what are their tax liabilities when they sell their herd and other assets? And will they be in a position to at least stay on the farm, or will they need to sell the real estate also? And then if they do decide to keep the farm, what can they do to at least get their taxes generated from some source of income on the farm? And then, are those options realistic for the folks that have to implement them? Okay, then this question for folks who have to look for off-farm employment. And it was really some personal conversations that made me like think that this is what we need to be working on. I was on a farm. I've worked with this farm for years. I've helped them train new employees and things like that. And we were at a profit team meeting. So the farm's got all their experts around the table and we're just talking about options. And one of the options was that maybe one of the farm partners would have to get an off-farm job. And they were looking at the woman in the business, the wife. And she said, what marketable skills do I have? And like, when I went home that night, that just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, she trains people, she pays payroll. You know, there's like 1,000 things she does on that farm and the skills that she has. And it's like, it didn't come to her easily. And I'm like, it doesn't come to her easily. A lot of people are going to be kind of like, how can I make it without farm? And that's really one of the objectives of this project, is to help people kind of open up to the new possibility, huge transition to not only a business, but a whole livelihood, right, and lifestyle. So some new thing, this new foreign thing, off-farm employment. It's very scary for a lot of people. So a big portion of what I will work on is helping folks prepare for off-farm employment. And Kelsey O'Shea, who's a farm business management specialist from the North Country, has actually put together a really nice notebook of resources that can be used for some of that. And then this whole thing, this is like, you know, the B word. People don't really like to go there. But for some people, bankruptcy could be a godsend because it could give them some protection if they're really in a negative, if their business isn't solvent. And then the other piece of this is such a big decision and transition for folks. They may need help to manage stress, communication, and just make it through the thing, be able to come out on the other side without falling into a deep depression or some other sad outcome. So this is just an overview of how this, you know, what's needed to accomplish this. This is my, I always forget what this is called. Well, thank you, my logic model. So I've got short-term and long-term activities. But, you know, if we look at what's really the long-term goal, is to help people arrive on the other side with an improved quality of life due to financial stability and reduced stress. And have them feel some personal satisfaction with both their new work life, if that's necessary, and home life. And just be relieved of the constant financial stress. And then, so if we go back to here, this is learning how to identify your marketable skills, understanding the current and local job market, learning some new skills to connect to that job market. So one key in this piece is this online tool that's available through our local community college. And it's called Career Coach. And it helps people discover their top 3 traits, review their best career matches, choose a career to research, and this is all available through the online system. It connects you to local job availability, and so that they can find something that they think is suitable for them and pursue that. So that's one resource. Another resource is the local one-stop career centers that New York State operates. So to accomplish the short-term goals, articles and workshops, and one of the things on my to-do list is to develop an online workshop, because this isn't a one-and-done type of thing. We want something that people can access kind of as needed throughout the year. And just talking with some folks today, maybe this is something that could become a statewide project. We'd be open to, because this crisis is not local, statewide. This is referring to the notebook that Kelsey put together, and this is just a screenshot of the Career Coach TC3. As far as evaluating how things are going and what's working, I'll use a standard workshop evaluation form for the workshop stuff that asks, what did you come expecting? What do you plan to take home and implement? What would you change? What suggestions do you have? But I initially the evaluation would be for myself to figure out if we're hitting the targets and what can we need to improve in terms of the teaching materials or the approach. Was the information and training accessible to the participants? So if it's an online thing, was that manageable, or did we need more coaching to make that accessible? And then as far as how I would use this information, it would be make changes to content or delivery formats to enhance the student's experience. I think to see how people are doing, what they actually implemented, we can do some surveys 3 to 6 months later to evaluate what changes they made and how things are going. And that's this. These are some of the things that I would want to look for. We would hope that we could help people chart a decision tree on what their steps are for their next, for the exit and what's planned after that. So these are the things we'd go back and look at. Were they successful? What tools did they develop, and were they successful? Resources include the things I've mentioned, the online resources, the existing extension resources, New York FarmNet in terms of counseling, stress support, and also financial evaluation, as well as commercial bankers to help with the whole financial assessment, and their own regional farm business management specialists.